Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. How are you doing? This is the Lavender Lady Show, if you will. I am the Lavender Lady, Diana Clarion. And with me tonight, I have the wonderful, the lovely, the perceptive, the brilliant Christy Santiago. How are you doing? Oh, my. I think most of the people in the side chat know who you are, but I'm guessing that some may not. And in the rewatch, I can imagine that there are some people who won't know who you are and what's going on. So why don't you tell us, as Cy Strike would say, how cool you are and what you do? Oh my! I th- I think Snarky's saying that she can't hear you. Let's find out and make sure. Can everyone hear this? This wouldn't be YouTube without. Okay, cannot hear you, Christy. What we're going to do is make some changes here and see what's happening already. We're going to do the properties and we're going to do one of those. And then we're going to do these properties. And we're going to do one of those. And hopefully that is going to change some things for the good, I hope. Um, Christy, if you'd say hi to some of the people out there and maybe they
Hi to
can
some of the people out there.
can everybody hear Christy now?
Mic
Made
check
some
1 2.
I've made some changes to the
You did a beautiful intro, and it wasn't.
yeah,
Oh,
we're
YouTube.
gonna have to do the intro over again.
Well, your intro is beautiful, so I'm good.
Oh man. Are you guys hearing Christy, or am I going to have to okay, now you're hearing her.
Yay!
Oh, wonderful. So let's try this again. Um, like I say, not possibly not everybody in the side chat will know who you are. So why don't you let everybody know who you are and what you do in your time?
All right. All right, take two.
Take two.
My name is Christy Santiago, and I do a weekly show on a phenomenal young channel called Wonder Lady. And if you look up Wonder Lady on YouTube, there are two that I know of. You want to look for the one that's a green medallion with Wonder Lady in the middle. She has a lot of great shows, a lot of great. The Inquisition is one of my favorites. So I love to catch
Absolutely, absolutely.
love it. I love. I'm too apprehensive to get in the Inquisition chair, but I have a feeling sooner or later I probably will because I love the show. So, and then every Thursday night on this channel at 7:30 Eastern, I do give or take an hour of whatever I want to talk about. That is the best part to me. That's I can't even tell you how happy that part makes me. There's no rhyme or reason. There's whatever I'm into that week. I do tons of research and then write it out and then read it because it's the best way to do it for me because there's so much information. I would be over here and then over here and then all over the place. So I neatly write it out and then read it. And I've covered Yemen, Jamal Khashoggi. Let's see, what else? Oh, the libertarian and religious right and their agenda. This last week I did World War One, turn of the century. And until Christmas, I'm going to be taking us through the 20th century into current era each week, which I'm really
Oh
excited
my,
about that.
that sounds
And
wonderful.
it is. There's so much that I'm as I'm reading, I'm going, oh yeah, that did happen, and then going down that rabbit hole and taking notes, and then find something else out and going down that one. It's a lot of fun. It's like what you dreamed homework would be when you had to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's so
Oh,
much. And I do have to say, I've never gotten anything less than an A on a book report. So
all
I
right.
try
That's
to
a good
keep it
thing.
right there. Yes, it's a
And
lot of fun.
the wonderful thing that's happened is, what was it, a couple of days ago? You were on the Godless Iowans channel, were you not, with American history and politics? And that's, in fact, what got my mind going to
Yes.
get this chat going. Because you and Matt started talking about some of the things that were going on here in the U.S. And I got the idea to ask you perhaps what some of your ideas might be on the things that are happening now in this particular
Conundrum.
situation, I think is about the best word I can come up with. And God,
Yeah.
I'm starting to sound like Hank Green. Why am I doing that? For example,
Yeah.
I saw while I was setting up um, in the Washington Post from 29 November in North Carolina District 9 of the U.S. House. Um, there's
Yeah.
still not a certification of the election results. Um, they're
Yep.
not planning on doing any certification until they investigate voter fraud. Have you seen anything on that?
Yeah. Just this much. I do have to say the good thing about doing this show every week is it has taken my mind off of the moment to moment bullshittery that's coming in. But then
Yeah.
the bad part is I like to be up on the bullshittery that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's good that way. I do sleep better without, images of children in cages and cry. That was horrible. I did see that. I will have to send it to you. It is definitely voter fraud, and it is not on the to be on.
Okay, we're speaking of
What I
what
do
speak.
know that of the same one, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They were collecting the ballots from elderly and telling them that they'll take them in for them, and they weren't. Or they were switching. There were actual ballots with one name crossed out and the other one filled in, and a lot got thrown away. People are trying to
Yeah.
find out who voted and how can they verify their vote because there's votes that didn't ever show up. I don't know.
Right.
I find it nefarious at the very least.
And the article I was reading in the Post, and then the pickup I read from Vox. Let me pull up the Vox. This is really strange here, really interesting. One,
It is.
these are affidavits that were made and
Okay.
reported by WSOC in Charlotte. One voter says a young woman came to her house, asked for her absentee ballot because she was collecting them. The voter had made her choice for only two offices on the ballot, but still gave the ballot to the young woman, who she said would fill out the rest. Now,
Yep.
what I want to know is, how is it that these people don't, this woman, for example, didn't know that that's not how votes work? Who is dropping the ball on education as far as that goes? Um, for example,
There's
when
a
I,
huge. It's huge. It's not just in California. There are hundreds of people that are citizens that are legal to vote in this country that voted by email this past midterm.
yes,
That's not legal, but they didn't know. And that's infuriating because I feel like the misinformation that they're getting or too much information, and they don't know what's what. I don't know. I find it very saddening to me. It's almost overwhelmingly sad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's almost as if it were intentional when you come down to it with people not knowing how the
Yeah,
system
go figure.
works. And I'm not going to say they're stupid, not by any means.
Right.
They simply are not informed, and they should be. So
Well,
I don't.
the email vote people were given had opened up an email saying,
Hmm.
"Congratulations, this is our new thing. We see that you're a registered blah blah blah." Their name was on it. Be looking for your ballot. It's coming. This is the new wave of the future. You don't have to leave your home. They took it as gospel.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is I don't know. Do you know if anything's been found out if they've been able to track any of those emails or if they've been
Well, I
spoofed
do
sufficiently
know
that
how it. I know
oh my, you're roboting.
it's proper. Okay, let's see. If I do this, I know that it's been used as propaganda
Uh-huh.
because the news sites that are always pushing voter fraud are saying we have evidence that there is voter fraud, but they don't go into it because if they did, they would look foolish because they would have to say all the voter fraud was these people voting by email. So they don't fill in that part. And I've watched segments on Fox News where they say, and they name the number of people that have voted by email, but they don't say the email part. They just say it is definite, it is positively factual that they voted illegally. Because you're right, they did. You're not legally allowed to vote that way. But they don't elaborate. And so it
Yeah.
leaves people feeling one type of way. I find it infuriating again, so much infuriating. It's just, I want what's fair to be fair to be fair for everyone.
And
And that's it.
I really like what Antediluvian Atheist has to say right here. And it's what I've been thinking as well. He says, what I will say that this obvious cheating by the GOP is an open admission by them
Mm.
that they know they cannot win if they don't cheat. And there's the thing. Was it the let me look at Washington Post here and see if they said it. No, there was somebody else. That's perhaps it was the tweet that linked to this Washington Post article, which in which it was stated that yeah, voter fraud has been found, and the Republicans are committing it. It
Right.
seems
Yep.
that the lady doth protest too much, um, and I don't know. I don't know if you have looked at anything. How can we even begin to remedy that problem? The systematic gerrymandering, especially on racial lines, although partisan lines
Right.
it does exist as well.
Yes.
And then the
Representatives are choosing their voters.
mm-hmm,
And that's fundamentally immoral. It's in a democracy. In an oligarchy, it's whatever. In Russia, it's whatever. But I think the fundamental principle of a democracy that violates it in such a way that it's almost like raping the democracy. I hate to say it. That sounds like, hyperbole, but how else do you look at it? They're using people's goodness and their trust that their country has their best interests, and they're taking advantage of it. They're taking, and the only way I can think, like right off hand, would be to have unlimited funds so that the states could set up workshops for free for the elderly in homes,
mm-hmm,
in people's individual homes and retirement communities first. We need to start there. And then, of course, schools should be doing this. As early as middle school is not too early to get kids excited about being able to vote when they're 18.
oh,
And
I remember in middle school, we participated in mock elections. We learned how to use the voting machines of the time. And this was in 1968. Why can't we be
Yeah.
doing it now? And Mrs. Snarky,
Right.
Mrs. Snarky brings up a question that Landon asked. Um, why aren't legal voters automatically registered here,
That's what
as in
that's what
Canada?
I was about to say when I said and.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I feel that on your 18th birthday, by turning 18, you're automatically registered. That's a democracy plus. I mean, that's if you want a democracy, you want as many people involved and participating in the democracy as possible. To say or to do things to subvert the number of voters is anti-democratic.
Oh yeah.
So it just shows you the people that are doing that, which I did with my the religious right and the libertarian agenda. They blatantly said, we know that the masses do not want this world we want. We know this. So we cannot get in it. Nobody wants to live in this dystopia they want. I even had
Okay,
somebody
Christy,
isn't
you're roboting again, unfortunately.
all right. How about now?
Okay.
A little bit better?
A little bit better, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to go over that last statement of yours.
Okay. And then not that I wrote about it in my libertarian religious rights story. However, just yesterday, somebody that I see a lot in chats was telling me that it is unfair and it pisses him off that he has to pay taxes that go to other people that he doesn't approve of. And I wanted to say in the nicest way that I could, so I did, that that's not how fucking taxes work. It pisses me off and I don't know how to be nice about it.
I like your tact there. That works very well.
Right. And I mean he this particular person, I'm assuming he's a guy. His name is Brian X. I'm sure that you guys have seen him around. He does like to argument, and if you call him out on it, he'll say, "Well, then block me." Like that's his answer to everything. And so knowing that mindset is who we're dealing with.
Yes.
You can't use logic. You can't use empathy and trying to understand where he's coming from. And I want to understand how he thinks so that I can have a conversation with him. And like he says things like, "Oh, you're just a effing mall cop now that," because it was on Armin's stream, "now that you've got a wrench, you think you can do whatever you want." And my whole point was, I call it what you want. Sure, I'm a mall cop, but I was asked by the creator of this channel to keep the chat on topic, and you're calling out people to start an argument. So that right there, as that all happened, I'm thinking in my head, these are the people that we're dealing with. They want to antagonize. They want to get you pissed off so that you say something inappropriate so that they can use it against you. And that's really tough to go up against for someone like me, where I look for the best. I trust people. I mean, I wouldn't like trust people with my kids or my dog, things like that I didn't know. But I think that most people, maybe it's not unfortunate, most people do have the best interest. My downfall that I think that I don't.
Yeah, we were losing you there for a minute. Yeah, unfortunately, Brantley, sometimes this simply happens. Sometimes it's YouTube that does this. The Godless Iowan was having the trouble with roboting and buffering as well a little earlier.
Brantley, I want to tell everybody and make him completely blush. He asked me to check my messages that he had some advice to help me not robot. Something like that. So I checked my messages, and he had donated $60 for me and a link to these Netgear Powerline Essentials Edition. So tonight, when my daughter gets home, we're going to hook it all up, and I shouldn't have any more problems. So
All
thank you,
right.
Brantley.
Yay, that's a good thing, and maybe I could use that help myself at some point. Um,
Yeah, it's really cool.
getting everything to run here is like trying to pull teeth from a jellyfish. It simply can't be done. Uh, but let's see here. I was going to say something that had something to do with the side chat. Oh, Clayton Starfish asks, does the U.S. have something equivalent to Elections Canada, which is nonpartisan oversight? Unfortunately, no, everything's partisan here, and that's a problem. And
Yeah.
when you're saying that people like this person that you were dealing with who said, well, just go ahead and block me and everything, that
Right.
kind of dovetails into an article I saw from Raw Story, for what that's worth, earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
headlined, Terrorism Expert Warns If Trump Called for Violence, His Supporters Would Make It So. This
I
particular,
agree.
say again?
I agree with that.
Yeah, this particular person said if he were to do this, he seems to have the power over these people. One thing I'm wondering, and I'd really like your input on this, is it the case that Trump has the power over his supporters, or that his supporters are already primed and have been for a long time,
Mm.
waiting for the trigger to just go?
Good question. I do think on that. I do ponder that often. I think if you go back to and him setting up the whole Fox News, I mean, it's state TV. That's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
by him setting it up, his goals for that network and for the other expeditions that he's been doing or had been doing was to move the country fundamentally further to the right. So by misinformation, and you got to understand, America's intelligence, our people, the think tanks that are set up by the government, and not even the government, set up by millionaires who have nefarious ideas. Those people can fund these cells, these think tanks, economists, all these different scientists involved who are for hire to go into an area and they want to find out who votes this way. Let's send them things and see how they react to that. And so it's been a collection, sending out information and collecting the data, sending out the information and collecting the data, and then creating these areas where they know they can do this and move them further. And that's what's happened since, like you said, 1968. It all started happening in the 60s, where these people were terrified of the civil rights movement,
Yeah,
terrified, because I have even clients who are very privileged and they're wonderful people. But to this particular group of people, for them, equality feels like suppression to them. It feels like oppression to them. They feel like they're going to lose some of their, you know, I don't even know what it is, superior something, if other people get the same rights as them. And I'm not, I have people say, well, they do have the same rights. On paper, you're right. Most of
yeah,
them do on paper.
on
But
paper.
that doesn't change how the system runs. And during this research that I'm doing for this whole look at the 20th century, during the civil rights, after there was this huge reformation and all the state houses, I mean, Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, they all had black governors and black mayors and black sheriffs. And it was just this amazing thing. But then the KKK came with guns. People were killed, lynched, completely marched out of the courthouses or their job as mayor. And so since then, not one person this Mississippi would have been the first black governor they have had since the Reformation.
Yeah, and
That's insane.
please correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember the history better than I do. Was it the case that the first black mayor in a major city in the United States was mayor of Atlanta?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Georgia. Yeah.
As in
I don't know
the
if it was
South, as in
Atlanta,
racist
but
country. And
right.
still you had that.
Right. Well, the population that, Mississippi has the biggest Black American population, and Atlanta area is also right up there. So it only makes sense that the people that are running for that position would be the people that live there. And the people that live there should be the people that represent the people that live there. But they couldn't handle it. They couldn't, they see these less than people as things to be owned and things to make them money. I'm not saying that as of today, but that's how it was seen then. And to give them power to make laws over them just terrified them.
Yes,
and not
absolutely.
terrified in a rational way. They were terrified irrationally.
Yeah. Well, I remember, okay, when you look at, if you want to call them socioeconomically disadvantaged areas now, in other words, slums, there's a lot of blaming the residents. But I remember back 1966, 1965, when I began to see some of this happening. What actually happened was a few black families moved into a neighborhood, and then the white people living around them, the old hunkies, as I call them, the xenophobic Eastern Europeans, the kind that raised me. So this is why I know them. They ran because they didn't want to be around the Chardonnay. And then this is when you got people picking up properties at very, very low prices, and renting out the units, not putting any money into maintenance.
Gentrification.
And
gentrification.
Well, I thought gentrification was bringing it back.
For back then, that was their version.
Okay, yeah.
Of a gentrification, changing who rents, changes who lives there, and being able to say, no, I don't want this person because of your own personal feelings, or yes, I want this person, so I can take advantage of them. Now,
that's my bad. I had the definition wrong.
Well, now, like Chicago, your definition that you had is exactly what gentrification is today. Like buying up very poor neighborhoods, flipping the houses around and selling them to wealthy lesbian couples, or whatever whatever the stereotype is that, these new cool people want to move in, which makes the 17 other houses on the block more expensive, worth more than they are worth. So the people that live there can't pay those property taxes. They can't pay that. So then they go under, and the bank takes them, auctions it off to the next couple or person that has expendable income and can buy a house that's really worth $50,000 for $150,000, and then spiff it up and sell it for $250,000, which makes the other 16 houses now on the block worth even more than those people that live in there. Yeah, it's a cycle that unfortunately is the way that economics work in areas where, property is all it takes is one. We have a lot in California. There were a lot. It's been stopped when Obama at the end of his 8 years, but it is back in full swing right now. Chinese millionaires would come to California or send people to California to buy up houses for cash. Now they buy up these homes and they have them completely remodeled inside and out. They even sometimes set shoes by the bed. Nobody lives there. The Chinese millionaire that bought it doesn't live there.
Okay.
But almost all or black or poor white people that lived in that neighborhood, or if we go to a middle class, the families that lived in that neighborhood, the same thing happens to them. Now property taxes are due, and they're like, wait a minute, they were 1,700 last year. Now they're 6,100. There's no way that they can pay them. They lose their house, and then Chinese billionaires came in. What was happening is they were buying up all these homes and not even living in there, but paying cash. And regular working poor Americans, middle class, cannot in cash. That's not something that normal people can do.
Right.
So if you can't keep up, then you literally can't keep up. You cannot keep up with what's going on. It
Well,
was brought to the attention, and people tried to stop it, but Trump said, "A-okay, keep it going."
Say again?
Trump had said it's A-okay with him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
this
keep
was,
it going.
This is what was happening. It was encroaching upon the neighborhood I lived in before I moved here.
Right.
One neighborhood over, the gentrification had taken place where you had a good bit of public housing that was raised and replaced with units that would rent for $2,500 a month. And not even middle class people could afford to live there, because the whole thing was Google was right across the street from this, and it was all the people working at Google are going to rent here, but even they couldn't afford it. And my question was, while this was all going around, where are we going to live?
Right.
Because we're getting pushed farther and farther across the tracks to what is.
This is why we need strong protections, aka regulations. We need the protections to protect the citizens of your own country from, not that a millionaire has anything, like the Chinese millionaire and billionaires that were coming in and buying these homes. I don't feel that they are evil villains or trying to hurt the American people at all.
I've got a question about that later.
Right. I do think that most of them are trying to money, but use their money so that they don't have to pay taxes. And if they buy up properties, that helps them a lot. It is also a way to help them clean money, is to buy up properties.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How much money laundering is going on with that?
It's untold how much money laundering is going on.
Because
in just Trump's family alone. That's what he's known for.
I was about to say that. Yes, it's known to be happening in the administration.
Absolutely.
You talk about high crimes and misdemeanors. Guys, And here's the thing, how do we even begin, and this is an actual question, it's not rhetorical, how do we even begin to set things right when it is so systemic that the people who want the change, who want to change things for the better, are locked out of the system? Is my fear going to come to pass where
it is right now?
Well, that we are going to lose any form of democracy no matter what happens?
There is a company that's sole purpose, it's an international company. Its sole purpose is to grade democracies. Now, after we get done here, I'll what it's called, of course, because I'm live. Its whole job is to look up and grade democracies. Country.
Sort of like a Standard & Poor's for political systems. Okay, I'm losing. You're kind of roboting over there, so you may.
Right.
Okay, you need to you need to say what you said previously.
Only for democracies. Oh, it's weird.
Okay, yeah, we were having a little bit of an audio problem there, unfortunately. Looks like we may have to repeat that once we get this working. Or is it that the MIBs are taking us down?
Yay. Is that better? Hello.
Okay, it sounds a little better now. Yay, that's a good thing. Well, it was a good thing.
That's all right.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, we may need to repeat that entire thought from the point where you started to describe I call it the Standard and Poor's of political systems.
Okay, no problem.
Oh man, again.
It's all they do is grade democracy to on, and they tell different things. They
Maybe we'd better talk about cats for a while the MIBs figure out what they're doing or not doing to us. Okay, I'm not hearing anything at all now, Christy. Are you hearing me? Okay, it seems that you're aware of what's going on. Okay. The other thing I could conceivably do, if this keeps up, I could go just to a quick stream or whatever YouTube calls it, because this is going through OBS right now. Um, what you got going over there, Christy? You know, Landon, you might be right on that one. So it might not be all that tongue in cheek as far as that goes. So,
I see
oh,
you.
yay! Are we getting somewhere?
Oh,
Okay, I hear you now. Hopefully that will keep going.
can you? Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
just
turn that.
dropped out totally. I mean,
Yeah, the
not a
screen.
peep.
The screen was green with the little quotation marks from Hangouts. All of a sudden.
Oops.
Yeah. Brackets. Okay. Oh, right. Yes. No, the company goes around and grades democracies on free press, on direct representation, on polls that are done via the citizens of that country compared to the laws that are changing. Do they match up? Does the country 81% want healthcare for all, but yet they don't have it? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in a democracy, if 81% of the population wants something, that's what happens. There's no other ifs, or it doesn't matter if you don't want it. That's what happens. So they grade all these things. And in 2014, we've always got full democracy. In 2014, we got a couple points less than full democracy, but it wasn't in anything where people were like, because sometimes they web and flow. They web and flow, depending on what wars were going on. Nobody was alerted or nobody was too much worried. But in
Sure.
2015, it had February, March of 2015, we got our first, what was it? It was flawed democracy, which is our country has never got flawed democracy. Countries that have received flawed democracy are like Chile, like places we wouldn't want to live.
Democracy in
so
name only,
that was
basically.
right. And Russia has been flawed democracy since forever. So we don't want that to be that way. And so it did make big news for people like me who seek that out, who look for this information. Had you
Yeah.
not been looking for this information, you're never going to see it because CNN never mentioned it, MSNBC never mentioned it, and Fox News actually did, but that's because Obama was still president. So they used it as it was his totalitarian, it was his
Yeah.
socialism and giving stuff away, which none of that was the problem. If you read the report, none of those issues or topics were any of the problems. So that's really scary. We have our next grade coming up. It will be out February or March, and I'm actually terrified to see that we are worse than flawed democracy or
It would not
still at. Oh, there's no way. We have not gotten better, so I don't see us being above flawed democracy.
It's either
But
it's either the same or worse. Yeah. And I'm afraid
so
it's going to be worse.
To fix these things, there's so much work to do, but honestly, I feel like the most important thing for the regular population to do is help each other be informed. And not only informed, but to teach people how to check sources. Because if there is a horrible journalist who lies all the time, it doesn't mean that they won't have things correct or factual sometimes. So that will confuse people saying, but this one was factual. And somebody who is a great journalist could get things wrong. But if that journalist realizes that they're wrong or that the wrong was called to their issue and to their eyes, and then they make an apology and fix it, that's a good journalist.
Yeah. Instant
Too much
retraction and
don't.
correction.
Right. Yeah. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to tell a story that had some flaws in it when you find out what those flaws were to correct them immediately.
Which unfortunately isn't happening here.
No, it's not happening at all. It's not happening at all. And as far as the big conglomerates who hand America their news on a silver plate every day.
Yeah. And it appears to me, and maybe I'm being, I don't know what the word to use is, nasty about it. It almost appears that anymore people don't want to go and do the work to get the news. All they want is what they already want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is this showing to your eyes as well?
It is, and it's actually starting to show in people's eyes that I wouldn't expect it to. So that's a good sign. People like my mom, definitely for her to say, yeah, it's starting to be where you don't know where the truth is coming from. So that was a wake-up call because she is a conservative. I think, though, if my mom were to actually take a test to see where she falls politically, I think that she would be just right of center these days. Not too much more than that. On policies, she's pretty much with the majority of the country. Healthcare for all, blah, 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 blah. So
okay, so you're a basic Democrat.
Right. Yeah, classic liberal.
Yeah.
Of course. My mom does say things like voter fraud is a problem and we need voter ID, but I do feel like she's just parroting what she heard. I don't feel like she looked into, well, where is voter fraud? Where are the documentations that it actually happened? And if you find them, I know that you're finding false stuff because there have been 32 in the last 10 years. And out of those 32, 29 of them were conservative young people voted with mail and then went to vote. Mm-hmm. Then got in trouble because they did both. It's not voter fraud. Like, that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, were they still alive, what those two would be saying and doing. And when I say those two, it's the people that the rest of the world called my parents.
Right. That's funny.
I refer to them as Schlistu Blutki, which is Russian, for slimy bastards.
Oh.
But it was bad enough when Obama was in the Oval Office.
Oh, yeah.
He was complaining, for example, he's not even Christian.
Ah,
So I wonder what they would be doing and what
sigh.
others in their immediate environs, generational environs, socioeconomic environs are doing. And it's kind of getting to the point where I hope these people die off in a hurry. And
Yeah, it's
I know that demographic overlaps me,
right.
but I'll be willing to sacrifice myself for the good of the group. You know what the hell?
Right? Yeah, for the good of this country. I do think that there is the propaganda worked so well that people have. I mean, if you think of military for a lot of the group of Colt 45, Colt 45
Okay,
Trumps
fine.
Colt. Okay, I call them Colt 45. So the Colt 45 for them in their mind, military and God and America are one group. There's nothing different. If you're for the military, you're for Jesus. If you're for Jesus, you're for the American military.
Yeah,
And they've done such a great job at pushing this narrative without actually saying it. Watching old football games that were in black and white, yes, the national anthem was saying, yes, there were American flags flying, but having the military on the field, which I don't have a problem with. I love our military. I love our troops. I love the average American military person, male or female. I
I'm
just don't like military industrial
I'm
complex
trying to
that's
remember.
telling them what to do.
Did you serve? I cannot remember.
No, my brother is a Marine. He worked, not
Okay,
anymore.
okay,
He's
okay.
out now. Yeah, he worked at the White House as a guard in his Marine dress blues every day, and he was at the White House on 9/11.
Okay.
It was very close to home.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I did not I was never in the military. As a matter of fact, the draft was abolished 4 months
Mm,
before I turned 18.
right. Well, yes, that's awesome.
So
Good for
I'd be
you.
one of those that everybody was complaining about. She never served in the military, but
Uh,
no.
you want to hear a crazy number, which you probably already know because you're good with statistics, but less than 1%, and it fluctuates. It's zero point 0.6, zero point 0.8, in between there. Less than 1% of the entire American population has served or is serving in the military.
Okay, that makes a good deal of sense. Yes. That would put it around 3.2 million.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, a military larger than that would be unwieldy. So,
Yes, but don't put any ideas in these guys' heads.
oh my, yeah, it would be
I
a
mean,
peacetime military anyway.
right. Our president right now would love a military parade right down, Fifth Avenue in New York. He's
Oh, he got
insane.
his military parade
Yeah,
down to the Texas border.
yeah. I saw that. Mm.
Oh man, I when Eisenhower sent the military to escort, oh, what were the kids' names? The first students in the segregated public schools in Alabama, I believe.
Yep.
There were questions about the use of the military for that, and where you should be questioning the use of the military. And the questions were valid, by the way, back in 50 whatever it was. But
Hmm.
you definitely have to be questioning now the use of military as civilian police, as
I've
border
read
guards.
I've read the Constitution more than once, more than a few times actually. And recently, I just wanted to check before I went off spouting out the mouth that deploying our troops on US soil is illegal. Comitatus or whatever that's called.
Yes,
I always say it wrong.
I know
It's
the concept, and I cannot remember the name.
right, and it's not. We have the National Guard for that, just as the CIA is not allowed to do any kind of work on American soil. The CIA will get in trouble for that. They are supposed to do work across the world. The FBI is for home. So the FBI does all the inter work here at the house. I'm not saying that they don't have international groups, they do. But law says that the CIA does international, the FBI does home, and that our military cannot, under any circumstances, unless it's national disaster relief or anything, where it's humanitarian, they're not allowed to go that or to be deployed on American soil. That's why they're trying to say that it is a humanitarian reason. They're going there to protect people. That's how they're getting away with it.
And by the way, thank you, Bill Beelzebub. Posse Comitatus. That is the concept that we were trying to find the name for.
Beelzebub. You smart cookie.
Tatted Atheist. Those were regular troops that went down to the Texas border. Yes.
Yes, they were. They had to spend their Thanksgiving in the hot sun protecting us from mothers and children.
Then the active military were withdrawn, and
Right.
the border patrol went crazy with the tear gas grenades.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what? But it's a way safer, milder form of tear gas that Trump pulled out of his ass.
I don't know, what is it, I could just imagine the Warner Brothers cartoon shell. The shell is lobbed over, and then it gets to the area where it's going to deploy, and the tip opens up, and one hand comes out holding an onion, and another hand comes out holding a knife cutting the onion, and that's the tear gas.
I love cartoons. I love cartoons. We've been watching a lot of black and white cartoons. I love the first 2 years of Betty Boop. She was black and white. But also there are a lot of cartoons. I will send you a couple. They are so funny. They were made for the troops during World War II. So there are Nazis in it, but it's the the long legs boy with acne on his face, and his friends, one's fat, one's tall. They're all just awkward looking. They're the American troops, or the three main characters, and then they have to go up against these huge, mean Nazi. It's definitely 100% propaganda. There's no other way to look at it. But watching it now, it gives me a lot of context into the way people relaxed then while they were in the military or training. The way that, because they would set up these a big room and pull the big white screen down for the troops on the weekends when they couldn't go home, and play these cartoons and a movie of a different movie also. But these cartoons, as I looked into them, they would show one or two of them before a movie during the war. So if you got to the movie theater early enough, you could watch these propaganda cartoons about our troops demolishing the Nazis. And it's very bizarre.
And
I can't imagine that being done.
Warner Brothers actually participated. Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck actually fought World War II. Let me see now. Disney had a hand in it. I cannot remember. I think MGM did a few as well. I have some of them here that Turner will not show anymore because they're considered offensive.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of banned cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are overtly racist, not like absolutely. A little bit. Overtly.
Yeah. I mean, even the most racist person in the world would admit, yeah, that's racist. but of course that was the idea. You dehumanized the enemy because if the
Hmm.
enemy was a human that you could actually talk to, you might not want to kill him.
Yep. Agree. I mean, I have Bugs Bunny banned cartoons where he's on an island and the island is full of brown and dark brown people and one black person. And they all have the huge white lines around their lips. They
All
all have
right.
huge noses with bones through their nose and a bone in their hair, and they can climb trees really easy and hang off of them like chimps. I watched it like,
Yeah.
what the hell am I watching? It's horrible.
Yeah, you're watching 1930s.
Yeah, yep. It was 1931. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Oh, it
I know.
was.
I'll be on 1931. Not this Thursday. Maybe I'll touch on it towards the end, but the one after that, that's where I'll be. So buckle up, buttercups.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I see we're
No,
start. Say again, huh?
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I see we're
Go
getting
ahead.
close to the top of the hour here. I'm
Yay.
curious, do you have any aversion to an after show or anything like that?
No, I think that would be fun.
Hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so what I believe I might do is I have a I have an after show um, event, if you will, set up, and it's unlisted at the moment. I will list it
Okay.
and put it in the side chat as
Perfect.
we're talking now. And I two things I want to do. I want to number one, thank you for coming by here. Um, this has been a wonderful, absolutely wonderful talk, and I want to leave an open invitation with you. I'd love to have you back um, whenever you can manage, as far as that goes.
I
The
love
door is
talking.
always. Say again.
I love talking to you, Diana. I'll definitely be back.
Uh,
We always
uh,
have great conversations.
thank you so much. Okay, let's see what we're gonna have here. Oh, look at that. I'm gonna change that from unlisted to public. There we go. Oh,
Yes,
wait a minute.
definitely.
Okay, we've got that, and what we're going to do is open that in a new tab. There we go. Yay, 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 yay. Okay, and I'm going to get the thing here, and I may actually have this done almost right. Okay, what I am doing as we speak is putting the after show link into the chat.
Yay.
Now, what I want to ask you, Christy, is
Uh-huh.
in closing, do you have a YouTube channel or plans to start one at any time soon?
Not anytime soon, no. I
Okay.
don't have I don't have the equipment to do it. I don't have the skills. I don't know what probably 30% of the buttons on my laptop even mean.
Oh my, oh my.
So,
Okay.
I mean, and that's just being honest. I look at them when I was told to refresh my screen just this week. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I would push. I have no clue how to refresh the screen. So, I don't know. I
Okay,
normally am
so
on my phone, so the laptop is totally different for me.
okay, and then that's where you've got me because I don't even own a phone, so I can't help you out there. Um, I've got one of these crappy little flip phones here.
Yay! Look at
Yeah,
you.
and that's that is my phone. It's,
For emergency.
I don't even have a landline at this point because I wasn't able to get landline service to this apartment when I first moved in. And that reminds
Wow.
me, I should plug this thing in because it's almost run out of power. So basically, if anyone wants to keep up with what you're doing and that sort of thing, they want to go to your Twitter. Is that the way it would work?
Yes. Yes. Twitter.
Okay, and you are higher
I'll
frequencies, right?
Yes, I will put it down here.
Because I think I put it in the description, but I'm not sure. And slap me
Oh,
down if I didn't. So if you put it in as well, um, if you put it in the chat, that's absolutely fine.
I did.
Yay! And I also want to thank all of you in the side chat for coming by here. Uh, I hope that you've had a really good time at this show, and I hope that you guys will also come on to the after show here. And the reason I'm cutting this off in about an hour is I want it to be rewatchable
Right.
because you get
Yes.
those 7-hour live streams. They're fun while you're doing them, but nobody wants to watch them anymore. And if anything, I want to get you out in front of the public, Christy, because you are
Yay.
absolutely fantastic. We've got to get you a good
Thanks.
name, and maybe one of these days, once you do get a channel going, you're going to be like Shannon Q. You're going to have a ready-made audience even before you do your first channel work. Um,
Guys, she's so amazing.
Absolutely.
She
So,
is.
okay, I put those in, and what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to close this down. I'm going to start the new one up, and I'd love to see as many of you as possible over at the after show,
Yeah,
and we can go
come join the
all the way.
conversation.
We can go all the way to Tuesday if you want. Well, not really. We can go 8 hours, but and thank you for coming to this show. And for the purposes of this show, thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.
Doodaloo.